neurodivergent brain is a huge asset to creative roles because we're very good at creative thinking, creative problem solving, creative everything. But then at the end of the day, when you go home from being creative all day, you may not have the energy left over to be creative for yourself. And that's the problem that I want us to start solving. I want you to end your day still having the energy for stuff that you love, your own creative dreams and pursuits and passions. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Creative Podcast, the show for neurodivergent creatives. Today, neurodivergently, I'm talking about an article that I found on LinkedIn by Dana Randall, who is an accessibility and inclusive design expert. And she wrote this article about 5 reasons neurodivergent brains are great in creative roles. So this one will be a little more like career side, which I think goes along with our quiet quitting and topics like that and accommodations. And I just found this super interesting, and it even taught me things that I didn't already know. And I love a deep dive into stuff that makes our brains awesome. And we have awesome brains. So I'm going to give a bit of an overview of her article, and then, you know me, I'm just going to go riff and talk about other stuff. So thing number 1 is that neurodivergent brains are really good at color and choosing colors that work well together and that are not overwhelming. Okay, what's coming up for me is Christmas lights. I love driving around in December and looking at all the Christmas lights. But when a house is decorated only in blue lights, I cannot look directly at it. Those blue lights cause me physical pain. And it's the same with highlighting text in a Word document or a Google document. If you highlight it and put like a super hot pink highlight or a super like bright blue or like a hot electric blue highlight color on it, it hurts my eyeballs. And I'm sure it hurts other people's eyeballs too. Turns out, and I'm actually going to look at the article so that I can properly quote it, many people on the spectrum are sensitive to or more aware of color. So she also mentions tetrachromacy, which is sort of like how bees see like extra colors, that we can't normally see. So it's possible that some people are a little more sensitive to colors outside the usual spectrum that we see. But what this means is honestly that to have engaging color in a design, you need to make sure that they're not obnoxious as fuck. And autistic people are very good at color selection. Now, of course, this can also apply to creativity outside of a workplace context. So that's for graphic design, but this could also mean that neurodivergent people, autistic specifically, have a really good eye for color theory, color matching. I don't know about you, but I am obsessed with color matching videos where people will be like, here's a piece of chewed gum. I'm going to color match it with my paint. And then you can't even tell where the gum ends and the paint begins because they have somehow done this. And I'm like, I know that blue and yellow make green. I'm selling myself a little short there. I also know that then if you add the complementary color, so we've got the primary colors. Let's talk about color theory. Surprise! That's where we went. That's where the brain cell went. So your primary colors, you got red, yellow, blue. Those combine into secondary colors, so green, orange, purple. And then if you mix a secondary color with the color opposite it, the primary color opposite, which means purple and yellow, blue and orange, green and red, those will make basically like a brown. They kind of cancel each other out, which is why when you are creating shadow effects or something in a painting, if your painting is done in warm colors like reds and oranges, you want to go for greens and blues for your like undertones and shadows. And this is also why if you have red spots on your face, you want a green concealer because they cancel each other out. Wild. Okay, so we had a little bit of color theory. Anyway, neurodivergent brains are a little more quick to pick up on like that color's not quite right. We need to adjust that a little bit, which makes them really great in design roles. Awesome. Go us. High five us. There's a high five for you. Thing number 2 that Dana Randall mentions in this article is spacing and alignment. And I have to laugh because it's like, we have this stereotype of autistic kids like lining up their trains, right? Or lining up all of their cars or all of their toys. Like we know how to space things and we know how to line them up. There's a photo of me as a child. Oh, I don't think I have it, which is a crime. And I'm not in contact with my mother, so I can't get it. But there's this photo of me where I have made a train, as they call it. I'm in the kitchen. I'm like 18 months old, maybe 2 years old. And I have all of the canned goods, like from the pantry, stacked on the floor in a row. And the Mrs. Butterworth syrup was like the front car of the train. That was like the engine. And I would just go in there and arrange the cans. And I think back on this and I'm like, oh, it was there all along. It was there forever. That is autistic kid shit, Caitlin. So I love that. So you ever like look at something and you think, now those margins are a little off, right? Or like a tile on the floor. Oh no. Have you ever like in a gas station bathroom or an airport bathroom or something where the tiles were laid slightly wrong and then it's all you can see? Autistic people are great at noticing things like that, which is also wonderful for design, layout, and other things that are necessary in like creative roles, especially when you are making images, advertisements, posters, flyers, things like that. Anything that somebody's going to look at and see, if you want it to be perfect as can be, autistic people. Highly recommend. High five for autistic people. We're just going to keep high fiving. That's my funny thing today. Thing number 3 that Dana mentions is messaging. So, of course, we have the stereotype that autistic people or neurodivergent people are bad at communication. This is a falsehood. We are just bad at y'all's bullshit, weird stuff where you say one thing and mean something else, and we don't have time to deal with all that crap because we're too busy making sure that the margins are correct and that the colors are right. So when it comes to like really impactful messaging, copywriting, content, the neurodivergent creative, that's the name of this. This is the neurodivergent creative. Okay, had a little fun moment. The neurodivergent creative can get like right to the heart of it because there's no subtext. We're not doing bullshit. We're not like taking you on a journey. It's like, hey, you want this cool thing? I got this cool thing. She says specifically, there are a few principles in accessibility and inclusive creative that relate to the use of plain and easy to understand language, avoiding the use of jargon and figures of speech. That's awesome. Because when you are creating content, especially content that needs to convert quickly, so like an ad that people are going to see as they're scrolling their phone. And of course, I'm also coming at this from years as a professional marketer, which is extra funny because now marketing my own business, I'm like, I don't know what I do. I've never helped a person in my life, but we get over that. And then I tell you cool things. I'm marketing right now. This podcast is marketing. If you find me awesome enough, you might like hang out with me, buy something that I offer, and then hire me to change your life. I don't know. I don't know what particularly is going to inspire you, but hopefully I'm helping. So, hey, hi. If you are putting a bunch of like jargony stuff in there that people don't know what it means, you're not going to sell anything. You're not going to sell your thing. Same with stuff that's like vague. Something that's like, elevate your life. What? That makes me think of like Zelda, like a kingdom up in the clouds, or the thingy that like launches Link up in the air and then he can glide down to wherever he's going. God. Everybody on YouTube, I'm sorry. I just did like a little chicken hands thing. It's fine. It's great. Right. But like, what is elevating your life? Or I'm guilty of this one. I will say like level up. I actually have a whole thing of programs called Level Up. But in that instance, I am specifically marketing to like gamers and RPG nerds. And so leveling up is a concept that they know. And so I'm going to get their attention. And even, I mean, if you've ever played a video game that had like levels, you kind of get level up. But if I say, this is a mattress made with individually encased coils, what the fuck does that mean to you? So then you explain it. Oh, it's more comfortable because of this, and it's more luxurious because of that, and it doesn't make the whole bed shake. Like, you need to get more specific and more direct in marketing messages and even in communication in general. Like, clarity is kindness. We talked about this in my past episode with Petra Vega, where we talked about how conflict is like trust. Conflict can build trust in a relationship where that conflict does not lead to like, well, fine, I hate you. Well, I hate you harder. And then you both just go away forever. Conflict is an opportunity to repair and build trust, which means that conflict can be very positive in the same way that critique can be very positive. It might feel rejecty in the moment, but when you are actually very clear and communicative and direct and you want to build that relationship, then it's awesome. And when you are trying to like wrap things up in, I don't know, nice platitudes or something, like when you start talking in circles to me, I check out mentally. I cannot bring myself back. I have tried. It's gone. The part of me that can focus on you when you are saying nonsense words died. She's dead. I say she because I wasn't non-binary yet. I have an interesting relationship with my gender identity. In that the past me was she, her, because I wasn't out yet. That's not the same for all non-binary people. So I'm not your non-binary friend that says it's okay to use she, her for people's pasts. I'm not your friend who does that. You can do that for me though. Because I do it for me. I model how I want to be treated. But right now we're they, them. Okay? I say we. That was like a plural thing. Sometimes I feel like I'm just made up of like past versions of myself all wrapped up in a trench coat. I'm like, that's what makes me they, them. It's because I am many. I should probably bring that up to my therapist. This is fine. I don't even know if this is going to make it to the final cut. What's up? Great. Anyway, so what we learned here is that direct communication without jargon, without flowery, weird metaphors, without being problematically vague, where it's like, I don't even know what you're selling me. I love an ad that's just like, you got bumps on your skin? Buy this washcloth. It will remove the bumps on your skin. I'm like, great. I do have bumps on my skin. Give me that washcloth. Give it to me. Like those loop earplug things, you know, you probably know. You're here. You're on the Neurodivergent Creative, which means you probably get these freaking earplug ads all the time. Like me. I never wanted them because I hate putting things in my ears. If you're on YouTube, you can see that I have giant headphones that go over the ear because I don't like things in my ear canal. It's uncomfortable. But I saw a TikTok from somebody who bought Calmer ear thingies. And the way they described it was that at the end of the day, they still had energy to do things that they wanted to do. And that they hadn't like had to fight extraneous sensory input all day long. And I immediately bought it because that is direct. And that directly speaks to me. If you're like, block uncomfortable noises. I don't know that I have uncomfortable noises. But I do know that like when my dog is licking a peanut butter jar for an hour, I'm mad. And that doesn't make any sense. I don't want to be mad at my dog. But her noises are terrible and grating. So that's why direct communication and not having a bunch of extraneous crap that nobody understands is very important in marketing. Thus, neurodivergent people who can cut to the chase, unlike me, who just took you on a walk around the park on this point, are great in creative roles. Thing number 4 is creative problem solving. This is it's so obvious to me, but it's not obvious to other people. Typically, when we are little babies and we are learning stuff, our brain is making a ton of new connections, right? We got neural pathways out the wazoo. We got neurons connecting. Everybody's excited up in the brain. We're like, oh, everything feels different. We are smelling things and tasting things. And look, that's our mom's face. Oh my God. Your brain is so excited. And then the natural process of the brain is to prune what is not necessary. So we learn basically like, get up in the morning, brush your teeth, or look both ways when you cross the street, And then the brain deletes other stuff that does not pertain to get up in the morning, brush your teeth, look both ways when you cross the street, stop, drop, and roll, whatever the thing is. The brain prunes those neural connections, which makes it very easy to take action, solve problems, make decisions, because you have basically like an on-off switch. You're like, oh yeah, I know how that works. I have my key neural connections that deal with this problem. Here's how we solve the problem. Autistic brains, we get to keep them. We get to keep all of our fun, exciting neural pathways. Probably not all. There's still probably some pruning. I don't have the science up in front of me. I can look up some science for you if you would like it. But we keep so many more neural pathways in our brains, which means that I can see a bumblebee and then tell you about this time I went to the circus when I was 10. And I followed my train of thought all the way there. But you might think, what the fuck are you talking about? Because my little neurons can do parkour up here and they can reach new amazing heights that you have never even dreamed of. You being a neurotypical person. Which makes us great at creatively solving problems and coming up with out-of-the-box solutions and things that like nobody else in the room is thinking of. Because we look at it and we're like, well, this doesn't make sense like this. You should do it these 17 other ways. Like, what if we tried one of these? And everybody in the room will look at you like you are an alien from planet good at this and act like you are some divine creature who knows stuff because you are, baby. You are. You do know stuff because your brain can do parkour. And that's fucking awesome. And that's why we're going to take over the world. Finally, thing number 5 is the info dump, which Dana Randall describes as research, depth of knowledge, and subject matter expertise. But we know it's just an info dump. This means that when you are in a specific role or niche or industry, you can learn a lot and retain a lot of information about that niche or industry. It took me probably 10 years to start forgetting chemical product names from my first full-time job. Maybe like 8 years. I just had them. I just had like a chemical formula in my head that was completely useless to me. I don't need this. I'm not making silicone roof coating anymore. Nor did I ever do it by hand. I printed a work order and gave it to the guys, and then the guys made it and gave me back the work order. But I knew that formula. Years after the fact, a guy that I worked with would call me and was like, what was our old price on such and such? And I was like, I don't know, it was like $323 from this company or like $362 from this other company. He's like, great, thanks. And then I wonder, why do I still know that? Why does that matter? Why do I need the contact information of my old vendors? I don't know them, but I was such an expert at the thing that I did. And that is a huge, huge perk when you are a neurodivergent person in, honestly, any role. Once, before I knew that I had like people-pleasing problems and problems with boundaries and stuff, when I quit a job, first of all, I give like tons of notice. And also, I would basically put my brain into a binder, like Leslie Knope style. And so I would leave this job and be like, here's all of our product descriptions. Here's all the information about branding. Here's every adjustment I ever made to the website. And I would just, it was a catalog. You don't have to do that, by the way. That's some above and beyond shit. We can quiet quit that now because we have better boundaries at work. All this to say that the neurodivergent brain is a huge asset to creative roles because we're very good at creative thinking, creative problem solving, creative everything. But then at the end of the day, when you go home from being creative all day, you may not have the energy left over to be creative for yourself. And that's the problem that I want us to start solving. I want you to end your day still having the energy for stuff that you love, your own creative dreams and pursuits and passions. It is not serving you to go to work and use up all of your creative energy for your boss and then come home with none for yourself. Because your stuff matters too. Your creativity matters. Your writing matters, your art matters, your stories, even just your time to talk to your friends on the phone and catch up matters. So my advice to you, take a creative health day, right? Like we know mental health days. Take a day off work and just vibe creatively and let yourself be awesome and creative without giving that away first. See also quiet quitting / just doing your job and then going home without going above and beyond and overgiving of yourself to maintain your own energy for your own creative things when you get home at the end of the day. Anyway, I'm going to link this full article from Dana in the show notes. And I hope that you check it out. It goes way more in depth on some of these. I just touched on the high level stuff. It's really worth a read. It's only a few minutes long to read it, really. And I hope it helps you feel more confident in your job. And whether that's like an employment job or your own business, like you can use this knowledge to be better at stuff. And also knowing what you're really good at can help you identify what you're not so good at. And then that's a great place to ask for an accommodation, like we talked about earlier this month, or hire help. My roommate works at a place that basically like connects wealthy donors to charities. They're like a foundation intermediary type thing. And my roommate is very good at numbers and spreadsheets and stuff like that. But she's not so great with customer service and dealing with the public and taking phone calls. So they literally hired another person whose job is to like keep the public away from my roommate. Like take the phone calls, handle all the public facing stuff and the dealing with human beings so that my roommate can do what she's great at, which is spreadsheety number things. Use this to your advantage. Probably not every place will go ahead and hire a person to like block you from the stuff that you're not so good at. But this could be very useful if you have your own business or if you know somebody who has a business. You can just kind of like, hey, you should listen to this episode. It's really cool. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Please play to your unique strengths. Please accommodate your weaknesses and needs. And go forth and make sure that those margins are good. Okay? Okay, stay hydrated. I love you. Bye.